I say very regularly that every single second of every single day, someone is dying or someone is born. And I am also reminded every once in a great while that at any single moment in time, our lives can come to an end. Don't know if you can hear the farmer shooting across the street, but that was such a profound opening statement. And then the crack of gunfire was what erupted afterwards, and it's just kind of funny to me. But to continue on, yesterday I was doing work out in the yard, as I often do, and there was a moment I was running a chainsaw for a couple hours, felt like, flipping back and forth between a brush trimmer, like a bush trimmer, and a chainsaw, just because there are some things, sticks that bush trimmer cannot cut. So I'm working on that, and I've been running this chainsaw for a bit, and all of a sudden it sparks and makes a loud pop, and the chain comes off the bar. Now, I'm lucky because one of my brothers is a firefighter, and he has always shared his stories, the horror stories that he has seen with chainsaw accidents. So I have learned to respect the tool before I ever owned one. So I always maintained control of the saw. And I had it far away from my face, just out like this, hand on the grip, hand on the trigger, and the safety. And I'm, tensed up, always trying to maintain control of the saw. And it popped, it sparked, and the chain came off, and I just let go of everything and just maintained control of the saw. And it was in that moment that it was just, as everything settled, it's just a great reminder that, oh, hey, you have avoided death yet again. So that happened, and it's just one of those moments, just I keep getting reminded that at any single second, everything can change. And I think that is why I hold to that ideal of having gratitude. No matter what my circumstance is, no matter what is going on in the world, I just have to sit and be thankful for what I do have. And that's what I come on here and I talk about, and I try to not be preachy. It's very difficult because sometimes I do get really emotional, and I'm not going to lie, today is a very emotional day for me. The 2-year wedding anniversary is coming just right around the corner. Part of me is in disbelief that it has already been that long. The second part of me is very, very grateful for that experience. That is still my most favorite day of my life. And to this day, I can't watch the wedding video without getting teary. I'm just an emotional guy like that. There's another part of me also that has to recognize that day would not have happened had it not been for that carjacking incident. And I know I talk about it a lot, but it is something that changed the course of my life, the trajectory of it. I had become very comfortable living in the city at that point. And from that moment, that moment of intense trauma and darkness, sure, I did have that, but the ideas that I held to changed. The time is an illusion. We talk about that a lot, but because, again, going back, every single second someone dies and is born, it is just a constant revolving door, unfortunately. And because time is an illusion, we believe that we have time. But in that moment, my life changed. It was so sudden and almost out of the blue when that happened. And yet, I took that traumatizing moment and I overcame it. I decided that I was going to give her if nothing else, the ceremony that she deserved to have. Before that, I was completely comfortable with the idea of us, keeping everything separate, not actually getting married or anything like that. But what came from that was that I had just decided that no, time is an illusion. Now is the only thing that we actually have promised to us, so I am going to give her that. And so yeah, it's still my favorite memory. And there's another aspect of me as I'm thinking about it that is just like impressed that something so negative I was able to turn into something so positive, because I was able to move out here to this serene area, this countryside. And as I now live, and I'm firmly on the other side of that incident and, that whole origin point, I think that ultimately I'm happier here than I was there. I'm much more comfortable, mind you. I still am a very safety and security minded person, so I always make sure the doors are locked and all that. I'm not one of those people that don't do that. But still, I'm relaxing. I'm much more comfortable out here. And I can see how that tension is starting to flee from me and leave me. And I'm feeling normal once again. And I'm just really emotional. I did say that a moment ago, but, the chainsaw incident yesterday really sparked within me that, oh, hey, no, you can still die at any second, right? So last night, I put everything aside. And I try not to be preachy when I make these videos, but I just can't help it. Sometimes in my monologue, I become very emotional and impassioned. And I think the one thing that gets lost in that sauce is the need for balance. So like I went really hard against social media the other day. And the reason for that is because I see too many people glued to their phones, glued to social media instead of living in the real world. And they suddenly are all consumed by things that they cannot actually affect. I received a comment yesterday talking about Yeshua ben Joseph, aka Jesus Christ, and how we can't just ignore fascism. We have to fight it. And sure, there is a point where you have to acknowledge it, but if it is something that you cannot really affect, I mean, what are you physically doing? Are you physically stopping these people from the genocide that's happening, or are you just sharing tweets? Are you retweeting ideas? Are you retweeting or not retweeting? Sharing, these different posts on social media just constantly. And that's the thing. It's a trap, because you're going to get into this thing where you say you're just constantly jumping from one topic to the next. And if you go through and look at your feed from a pulled back perspective, it's just a constant churning of issues that you think you're saying that you believe. And sure, that's fine. But what is happening in your direct life surrounding you? There is a balance that needs to be had. Sure. And no, fascism, the evils of the world, all of this, you do have to really do shine a light on it. But there has to be balance. There has to be a counterbalance. What are you doing? How are you living the life around you? How are you affecting people? What do people really think of you? And furthermore, is the person that you are projecting online, is that who you are in your everyday life, in your real persona? Authenticity is something that is sorely lacking, because I see so many people saying the same exact rhetoric, but then being really toxic people. When it's like they say the right thing to satisfy this checklist online, but they do not take into consideration that they are a flawed human. And that we're just interacting with other flawed humans. How I don't understand how you can be so blind to that. But everyone now seems to have the spirit of debate and this idea of this is how you think correctly. When not every life is so unique. I'll use the Midwest as an example. Everyone thinks that, a couple of years ago anyways, everyone thought that Teslas were the way to go. And within a couple years, you'd have these Tesla charging stations all over, everywhere. And I knew that was not going to work because the Midwest is a very large, a very unpopulated place. I tell people that where I grew up, it took me 25 minutes to drive to the closest area, like city, municipality from where I lived. Sure, we had a local grocery store, but if we didn't have that, it was a 20-plus minute drive to get where you needed to go, to get what you actually wanted or needed. And people they can't comprehend that when what you have known is a city where you have everything that you will need right there, provided for you within 5 to 10 minutes. It's not the same in the Midwest. So when you have these vehicles that only have a range of 300 miles and it takes an hour plus, I don't know, I've never owned a Tesla. I don't know how long they take to charge, but it is far more time consuming to replenish its fuel source than gasoline. It doesn't work. It just doesn't work that way. But there are people that will, just think what they want to think and say, in a perfect world, this is how it would work, but we're not in a perfect world. That's why we're here. We're here to learn lessons. There is a perfect world that exists, and it's on the other side of the veil. That's simple. You can listen to any number of near-death experiences, and you can see how heaven actually is, the true nature of God. You can see how that actually is, and how this existence is kind of a cheap mockery of what is on the other side of the veil. And that is why I truly believe that I don't take a lot of things seriously here. But that's my role. I don't ever want to come on here and preach, and I don't want to devalue who you are as a person. But if you ever feel like there is no hope on the planet, that's when I'm telling you, log off. If you're getting hyper depressed and you're feeling these thoughts of, I just want to end it because you feel empty and that things are not going to work out, log off. That is what I'm saying there. And put your focus on something that actually brings you joy and happiness, because one thing I do say all the time is control the controllables. And there's nothing more that you can control than your own emotions. You can control your reaction to a situation. And that brings me to another term of phrase that I like to, it really spoke to me, that stress doesn't come from a situation itself. Stress comes from our reaction to a situation, because someone comes up to you and they guilt you, they put you in a compromising position, they're asking something unfair of you, but yet socially you'll look like a jerk for saying no. But saying no is what would bring you the most peace. You can say no in a very respectful manner, and they're going to make you feel bad for it. But that in turn tells me that they don't care about you, because they're asking you to put yourself in a compromising position for their own benefit. So they don't care about you, and they're going to make you feel bad for saying no and protecting your peace. But you have to protect your peace. The stress comes from your reaction. Let's say you say yes to that thing that they are asking you to do, and it is bringing you nothing but pain. They don't care. They absolutely do not care. But you do, because it affects you. So, in that situation, the stress comes because no matter how it plays out, no matter how it shakes out, you are perceived to lose. But that is an illusion. You simply say no. You deny yourself the experience of that pain for the other person's benefit, And guess what? You're happy. You're relieved. Everything society has told you up to that point should scream that I am a bad person. But you see through that. You see how you were trying to be manipulated, and suddenly you said no, and you showed yourself self-love. And when you show yourself love, something changes within you, and it's absolutely incredible. It's an incredible experience that a lot of people from a specific thought process will demonize. And they live in this thinly veiled narcissism. It's quite interesting. And it's how a lot of people interact with each other online, unfortunately. That was epic. That was epic. Balance is something that we all must have. Balance is something that is a prerequisite to happiness in this place. And no, we don't live in a perfect world. As unfortunate as that is, we do not live in a perfect world. If we did, this guy wouldn't be shooting his gun off in the middle of my recording. But that is the world we live in. And politics is not what brings me peace. I don't think there is a lot that can be achieved by endless debates with people. What brings me happiness and peace is talking about trauma with people, because it is, from my personal experience, in speaking about our traumas and healing those wounds, that people actually change. Healing takes place, and when you heal the emotional, the physical will change, and it will just get better. And that is my experience too. I used to be very tormented when I was a kid, and sidebar, I will be doing a video about my paranormal experiences, my bullying. I plan to go into a deep dive on my history and what made me me today. So I guess stay tuned for that. October is when I'm going to start the paranormal series. I don't know when I'm going to start the other series. It might be dotted in between. Who knows? Stay tuned. But when I was younger, I used to go into my room. That was my only place of solace, and I would play video games. At school, I was bullied, and at home, I had to tiptoe around emotionally immature people. But we've talked about it since then, and everything's good now. The power of talking should not ever be understated. But in the context of this, when I was younger, all I could do was sit in my room and I would play video games to escape my reality. And when I did that, as I was doing around playing these games, doing menial tasks, I would just instinctively break down why I was feeling how I was feeling, and I would figure out what was the root cause of my emotional pain, what specific part of my day created that. And so I really just was like, I developed this active meditation almost, and it really helped me into who I am today, just someone who is really good about talking about delicate things, because communication is 90% like nonverbal. It's tone inflection, it's a body language, it's certain things like rolling your eyes, but in responding, kind of snarkily with venom in your voice. The call center really helped me out in determining how to really put the correct inflection in your voice. So there was a benefit for that horrible experience as well. And that is why I say the spirit of debate is not a positive one. Because the spirit of debate, someone has to be right and someone has to be wrong, whereas the spirit of discussion is it's just two people trying to discuss things, brainstorm. No one has to be right, no one has to be wrong. Instead of a black and white, right versus wrong, it is a varying shade of gray. varying shades of gray, and that is where I live. That is why I'm able to forgive almost anyone for anything that they do. I say almost. There are some things that just you can't forgive, right? There are just some things. But hey, there is no rule. There is, despite what society wants you to believe, there is no specific set of rules. You have to just go with what you feel in your heart in a situation. So you're not going to react the same way to a situation that I will, and I won't react the same way that you will. It's just how we're built. We're all just built a little bit different, and when you're all built a little bit different, you can only have a certain set of general guidelines, but every rule has an exception, basically, and that's the nature of life. It's kind of crazy when you think about it in that term of phrase. So balance is key, and sure, if you feel like you're called to fight the good fight on social media, then do that thing, but definitely show yourself some love. And if you're feeling depressed and empty and like it's meaningless and nothing is ever going to get better so long as this type of person exists, you can always log off. I would recommend at least every single day carving out at least an hour or two where you leave your phone and get outside into nature. Easier said than done, of course. Maybe instead of leaving your phone at home, you just silence it, put it on Do Not Disturb, put it in your pocket or in your backpack, and go out for a walk in a park or something. I don't know. Because it's easy for me to say that now that I live out in the country, but I have to consider people that live in a city because that was my existence for a while. And when that was me, it definitely was difficult to get out there, especially when even a place that you can go for a walk, there's criminals hiding around the corner waiting to attack you. You know, it's just the nature of living in a city. So if you do live in a city like that, just figure out what you can do is my recommendation. Try to get out in nature. Actually make a concerted effort to get out of your house, those four walls, and reconnect with nature and just disconnect from the hive mind that's out there. And when I say the hive mind, I just mean the internet at large. But balance is key to happiness. I'm feeling emotional, very emotional today, just because while I have this understanding and I do have these interactions with all of you lovely people out there, I have to live in the real world. And I'm just trying to tell you, no matter where you fall in the alignment of the world, the global geopolitical complex, that you are worthy of love. And you need to take a moment to detox the hatred that can easily boil up within you. And that balance is key to a happy and successful life, because if you go too far one way, then you suddenly feel like nothing is really worthwhile or it matters or anything like that. And you might actually not do the thing that you're here to do. If politics, talking about that, brings you joy, then by all means do that. But if you get really riled up and you're really just disgruntled, getting away can really help. But also getting away too much and you're not actually providing anything for humanity. Whereas I try to live in the balance, and I try to tell people it's okay to log off and it's okay to feel how you feel, but at that same time, don't let your emotions dictate every little aspect of your life, and really get out there and find that balance and just try to find happiness in some part of your day. And it will be definitely worthwhile. So that's going to bring me to the natural conclusion of this video. I'm thankful to still be here, that I didn't suffer any damage with the chainsaw accident yesterday. So much gratitude for where I'm at in life and what I have accomplished since that dark turn of the traumatic carjacking incident. Maybe one day I'll stop talking about it, but I don't believe so, because it was just such a profound moment in my life. And I like to use myself as an example as to how you can make a good thing or a bad thing into a good thing. And speaking of gratitude, 250 subscribers is what we just passed yesterday. So a huge thank you to everyone who finds peace in my message. There are a lot of shorts that I do produce, but it's all from longer videos. So if you ever feel like I need the next part of whatever you're watching, let's say I split it into parts, I always have the main video linked below, and I would recommend watching at 1.5x speed. That is how I always watch YouTube. I don't consume anything less than that at all these days, because there's so much out there, and it's just let's get to the meat and potatoes of it. So thank you for all the comments. Thank you for the subscriptions. Thank you guys. I don't know why you feel that I'm interesting, but I appreciate you all nonetheless, and I love you all. So again, from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much. And as always, guys, please consider liking, subscribing, and sharing this message with someone that you think could benefit from it. And guys, until the next time, my name is Ken, and I'll see you then.